How's it going, guys? What I wanted to do in this video is actually take a few minutes to talk with you all about something that has dominated the news this year, and that is, of course, police. And I would like to take a few minutes to talk about policing in general and try to get us to take a step back and try to bring the two sides together. There seems to be this great division among a lot of people, either those that overwhelmingly support the police compared to those who want to defund the police, who are very anti-police. And where the truth is somewhere in the middle. In general, I am someone who strongly supports constitutional police. Now, that is a very key statement. And, the Constitution is the supreme law of our land. And that supreme law of our land is what all public officials are to follow. Any law that is contrary to the Constitution is null and void. It's according to the Supreme Court. I know there's been a lot of cases on that in the past. And I really think that we're getting away too far from our founding documents, the Constitution in general. As I mentioned earlier, I am someone that in general supports law enforcement. I have friends that are police officers. Some of them have been right here to my house. One of them recently gave me this during a recent visit that he did. And, I think that we need to take a minute to take a step back and actually look at policing in general. The police are needed. I mean, somebody has got to go out there and confront the bad guys. Who are you going to call if your property gets stolen? Okay, if someone is doing something that they should not do that endangers the lives of others, and yes, there's things that can be said as far as what we can do, but in general, at some point, law enforcement has got to get involved in certain situations. Okay, there's got to be those on the front line who are willing to run into the fray and do what they can to stop the nonsense and enforce the laws. Unfortunately, what is happening these days is that the police are, in some instances, clearly forgetting their oath of office and not following the Constitution. And we really need to break this down into different areas of the country. I guess you could say some areas of the country it seems to be a bigger problem than it is in other areas. Now, for those of you all who are in more rural areas like mine, you may actually know a lot of the police officers in your area. I certainly know the ones around here, a lot of them, and in general, I don't have any issues with them. Have there been bad cops here? Yes, there have been. Again, some of my friends in law enforcement will tell you there are bad cops on the force. That's just an unfortunate reality about the world that we live in. Where it gets dangerous is when you have a very large number of them, especially those that just do not care about what they're doing. They don't care about any kind of what their oath was to protect the constitutional rights, and they just go about blindly follow the orders of bureaucrats without hesitation. And we're actually going to look at a couple of articles to kind of talk about that. Here's one of the articles that I want to look at is undercover cops order food and then arrest a bar owner for defying NYC's dining rules. This is an example of what I would say would be a bad cop. Under the Constitution, a lot of these orders, these edicts that these governors are passing or enacting, they're clearly unconstitutional. And this is a perfect example of how extreme this can be. And what has happened here is basically the police officers dressed up in just regular everyday clothes went in to this bar, ordered food, and then arrested the individual for violating Cuomo's orders. These police officers took an oath to protect the Constitution, and instead of protecting the Constitution, they just basically violated it. They threw it in the trash completely. Okay? We always hear about the strict gun laws in a lot of these cities, New York, New Jersey, California, places like that. And who is it that enforces those gun laws? Knowingly violating your Second Amendment rights, arresting you in many cases simply for the possession of a firearm, unless you go through a lot of the hoops that these governments have set up, and that is a lot of the police officers in this area. And unfortunately, you can see here this photo. This is another thing here. This is the article here. This is police standing in front of the bar, making sure that no one can enter that bar. A man is blocked from being able to run a small business, while your major corporations, your Walmarts, your Home Depots, your Krogers, your big corporations, your big businesses, they're allowed to do business, but your small mom and pop shops, privately owned small businesses are not allowed to do so. And these guys here are blocking it. They are violating a person's constitutional rights to run their business, and they are keeping it closed. This is a law that is not enacted by a legislature. This is just the edict of a governor. And that, my friends, is unacceptable. This is what I mean when I'm talking about we need to differentiate between constitutional law enforcement and that which is clearly unconstitutional. Oath breakers and oath keepers, as I've heard it phrased before. The ones that are oath keepers really need our support. They need our backing. And I will overwhelmingly, unquestionably back a police officer who holds to his oath of office. Okay? But someone who clearly violates their oath of office, I cannot support them. I will not support them. This country was founded on the idea of freedom. Our Constitution puts restrictions on what government is able to do, and when a police officer follows the order of an individual that is clearly in violation of that Constitution, then that police officer is just as guilty. Unfortunately, that is, that's something that happens these days. And I really think that is where there are serious areas of reform needed. I really think that is where accountability is needed. There are areas that are questionable, but then there are areas that are not questionable. When a police officer blocks someone from being able to open their business simply because of a governor or a mayor's order, when that individual has not broken any laws or anything like that, that is clearly a violation of that individual's constitutional rights. When a police officer goes and seizes property from someone who has not been charged with a crime, who has not been convicted of a crime, but simply, again, following an unconstitutional order, again, that is someone who is as guilty as the person that made that unconstitutional order. Guys, I think that there's a area of common ground. Okay, if a law enforcement community, a department, for example, overwhelmingly violates the rights of people, these people that are out there that are calling for defunding the police, when it comes to police officers who do those things, who violate the Constitution, who use the Constitution like it's toilet paper, I'm with them. Defund those cops. They don't need to be cops. They need to have their badges stripped, and they need to be prosecuted for violating people's constitutional rights. That's where I am on that. But when it comes to law enforcement that follows the Constitution, that does their job, that puts their lives on the line every day, those are the ones that I support, and those are the ones that all of us need to support. But guys, this is just a quick video that I wanted to do. Again, this is something that I know we can find common ground on. Just taking a minute, stepping back, and trying to look at both sides of the issue. The bad cops need to be gotten out. To the folks in law enforcement, you know who those people are in your ranks. You need to get them out because they're hurting you. What happens when the rest of us turn against you? I don't really foresee that happening in a lot of areas. They're, again, small towns, things like that, very tight-knit communities. But you get into a lot of these areas where there are larger departments and things like that. Guys, it becomes very difficult to justify supporting some of these bad departments when no one is standing up for the citizens of those areas. Okay? Again, guys, there's middle ground. Support those who follow the Constitution. Those that do not, get them off the force. Guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Any of you guys that are in law enforcement, I would really like to hear from you. You are the guys that are on the front lines. You're the guys that are out there every day. I'm sure that you know there's someone in your department that does not do their job the way they should, that abuses people, that basically has no thought for anybody but themselves. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, guys. Leave me a comment down below. Guys, thanks for watching. Check out the rest of the videos on my channel. Be sure to share the video, and we'll see you next time.